Good. Hello. Welcome to the starting point. What is personal financial planning? As we get started, one of the things that's important to remember, everything we're going to talk about here isn't a one-size-fits-all. Okay? We can't say you must do this, 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 and this. There's a lot of different things that apply to the individual where they are based on their needs, desires, wants. There's so many different things to cover, and they're interrelated. We can't just talk about one topic without talking about how they all are interrelated. We're going to take a dig down approach, and we're going to start with some topics, and we're going to go into depth and dig down. But with financial planning, one of the important things to keep in mind is assumptions. We're making a certain set of assumptions about the future. And they can be things such as, how long do I think I'm going to live? What is the inflation rate going to be? The assumption is I may want a house someday, or I may want to live in an apartment. Assumptions about our lifestyles. And I'm going to make an assumption. And the first assumption that I am going to make is that because you are taking this course right here and now, that you want to be successful financially. You want a good life. You want to be financially successful. I'm making that assumption. Hopefully I'm right. But when we define what success is, it's oftentimes hard to define or measure. And that's where it becomes in. Perhaps we need to define what success means for us. And we're going to look at that primarily from I could say you could measure the success of something based on your achievement of goals that you set out. A short-term, medium, long-term goals, but success is by meeting the goals. If you don't set the goals, you don't know if you're successful. So let's start with that. Everybody wants to be successful. 2, you need to have goals so that you can measure what success is and what have you achieved it, and or what progress has been made. Now, as life goes on, what you're going to find is your goals change. At times, things that you might have wanted when you were 8 years old are not the same things that you want now. As you keep going in life, your goals change. The goal changes because life changes. At the same time, we have the world changing around us. From a political perspective, from an economic, from a healthcare, from a technological perspective, the world is changing so rapidly that some of the assumptions we make may not be valid over time. So life changes, the world changes, and stuff happens. So this is sort of the framework as we go into financial planning, is one size doesn't fit all, and that you really got to tailor it to you as the individual. Assumption, you want to be successful. Second is that if you want to be successful, we need a methodology for defining what success is, and then to be able to measure our progress towards it. And that's the basis of what we're going to be talking about. But life changes, goals change. As we achieve certain goals, we're going to want others. So there's our starting point there. What are some of the other things that come into play here? The first one is, statistically, you will live into your 80s. So if you're 20 years old now or thereabouts and you live into your 80s, you've got 60 years of life ahead of you. So that becomes a long-term trek for you. The other assumption is you'll be active throughout your life. You won't just get to a point saying, I'm going to retire and do nothing. We're more active today. We do more things than we ever have as individuals. And whether we like it or not, or to want to face up with it, is we, you and I, will have health and medical issues throughout life. And you never know when you're going to have them. I didn't have any health issues until about five years ago when I had a pulmonary embolism. Now, that changed some things, but the health and medical issues were quickly resolved because of that changing world. That technology hasn't slowed me down. So you're going to have these health issues. They're going to be there. It's just a matter of when. The other thing is you will need to provide for your own future. Okay? You don't have pension plans like your grandparents used to have. Social Security may or may not be there. Without significant fixes and changes, it won't be there. You will need to provide for yourself. And as we keep going, so let's keep working through this, financial goals need to align with your personal values. And this is an interesting one for you to consider. Are you spending money consistent with what you believe? What values may influence spending? This is an interesting concept to look at. There's a standard of living. What does that really mean, a standard of living? I'd like you to think about that. What does that really mean to you? How do you look at current versus future needs? An easy way of doing that is looking at the average propensity to spend. Sounds like a big word, doesn't it? Average propensity to spend. Well, what that is, in very basic terms, is the percentage of each dollar, on average, that is spent on your current needs rather than savings. So if you spend 100% of what you earn, your propensity to spend is 100%. Okay? What are basic necessities? What do they mean to you? Is it a function of income? The more income you have, that there's more basic necessities? Is it possible for people at different income levels to have the same propensity to spend? Or is it possible for people of the same income level to have different propensities to spend? So this is sort of setting the basis for where we are. Why don't you take a minute now, at the end of this video, take a piece of paper, or your smartphone, or in a Word doc, and answer the questions that are on this page, slide 4 in the slide deck. Look at those questions, answer them, jot them down. Okay? And once you do that, then move on to part 2.